Good morning, afternoon, and evening. We have everything today, all together. This is our first of 5 thematic Global South Interregional Youth Webinar, organized by Citizens Platform on Climate Change and Sustainable Work, with the support of UNESCO's Communication and Information Sector. Today, together, we will consider circular economy and waste management, with each one of you that are knowledgeable participants that are in Bangladesh, Ecuador, Mauritius, Nigeria, Pakistan, and Trinidad and Tobago. Plus those that have been coordinating the initial phase from Bangladesh, Argentina, Nigeria, and Italy. So I think this is really extraordinary. We'll try to have today a fast conversation in which you will share your own experiences, lessons learned, and know-how. This is like a chat to learn from each other and to think together how to interact and to put your dreams into collective actions. We absolutely need dreams because that moves us forward, but it's a condition that it generates action to try to fulfill the dream and to adapt it. We in Citizens Platform and also UNESCO see this as an ongoing work in progress. We are recording it and make of it an information and communication output that disseminated worldwide through our platform, YouTube and other social media, and also through partners, would also help others, inspiring actions and leadership. We expect it will also expand this incipient but already important network that because including Citizens Platform staff and the regional coordinations, around 30 of us have come together from Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean, small island states, and South Asia. So the 6 knowledgeable women that will meet to discuss circular economy and waste management are Samina Oishi in Bangladesh. She's passionate about waste management and experienced in methods of educating sustainability. Jilai Mariam in Pakistan, she's the founder and director of a company called ISP Environmental Solutions, and she has like 14 years of experiences in business development for sustainable solutions to waste management. Victoria Fogg, she's in Mauritius. She coordinates something that's called Zero Waste Mauritius, which is a completely volunteer initiative that wants to enable citizens to share about zero waste initiatives locally and spread knowledge in school and youth groups. Joy Chayadika, where are you? You don't see you now. Yes. Is in Nigeria. And among many other things, in last February, she founded what's called the Community Kid Upcycle Africa Initiative, which build children in climate vulnerable communities capacity on waste management, upcycling, and sustainability in a creative way. There are already 700 together, 700 children in these 3 communities. Gabriela Jarrin, she's in Ecuador. She's an environmental engineer and has a master on sustainable and innovative natural resource management, and is a circular economy and waste management specialist. She works within the context of a foundation called Circular, Fundación Circular. Then we have with us Kurmira Galston in Trinidad and Tobago, that is a hazard mitigation specialist. And she's passionate for project management, marine and environmental management, sustainable development, climate change, and special needs education. There are several of you that where education comes in, and also this webinars has to do with educating. Well, then it's Alessandra Bonanomi, part of CP's team in Italy. And well, none of them are here, but important role in this, in what we are doing, has been Ozzy Otsemobor in Nigeria, Patricio Porta in Buenos Aires, and Monoron Pollock in Dhaka, to put together this program. So I will open with putting some questions and to each one of you, and then we move into your own questions. So I would like to start with Joy in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm curious, I'm sure all the others are curious too, to know how did you organize your work on waste management with children in those 3 communities, and what were the difficulties and how were sorted out?
Hello, Ricardo. Thank you very much for the question. So yes, our work with children was actually, first of all, I would like to talk about what actually inspired our work. There's a waste management problem in Africa, especially Nigeria, from where I am currently. And as we speak right now, we produce over 32 million tons of waste, and only 4% of that amount is being recycled. And we find people behavioral patterns, trashing things on the floor. People, we are already having experience of climate-induced floods, and okay. So yeah, we're already having experience of climate-induced floods, and up till now, we can see that the situation has not changed, right? It has even worsened the way people act towards waste management. And it is affecting the younger generation. You can find children on the streets trashing things on the floor, and because they do not see any problem with that. So we decided to set up this network and begin to reach out to children to make them understand what climate change is. As much as we know that only 5% of the greenhouse gases is being emitted globally from waste, that 5% is super important and has to be dealt with. And this is the reason why we have to make children from the grassroots level begin to educate them on the importance and the value of waste management and its impact on climate change in the broader sense. So this is actually what inspired our work, the behavioral patterns of people, affecting children's mentality towards waste management and leading them wrongly into very wrong, unsustainable waste management patterns.
And I will be interrupting to make it more. So we avoid the risk of talking too much or going to speech. What were the difficulties when you decided to do that? What were the difficulties that you faced, and how did you sort them out? This is like teaching all of us.
Okay, so in trying to get children to begin to manage waste properly and understand climate change, initially I had the difficult of lack of support for the work I was doing from both the government and people around, because they thought that, okay, so are you in quotes, are you the savior of Nigeria? Are you the one who wants to take away all the waste in the environment and stop? But again, it was a big challenge. A lot of people did not believe in what we believed in. A lot of people turned us down. There were a lot of no's. There were a lot of gate closing, and lack of resources as well. And then later, because we should have launched this a long time ago, and then later we began to get access to funding, grants from a particular platform, and then we began to upscale our work and begin to expand. So initially there was a lot of no's, there were a lot of rejections, a lot of people couldn't believe in what we believed in because they felt like the situation cannot change, right? Yes, this is the way it is. So
you got funding from what sources?
okay, so there was this platform I applied for. It's called Share Yourself, shareyourself.org. Yes, so I applied to I put the project forward regarding, educating children on climate change and using waste to do creative stuff, making amazing stuff using waste materials. And surprisingly, I was selected, and there are tons of applications. And yes, that was the platform that helps me begin to upscale and reach out to more children.
And then when you started going to the communities, what problems, what difficulties were you facing? I mean, I suppose you have to get in contact, or you were already in contact and you were well received, or they were not understanding. We are interested in knowing the process of things, no? Because that's common to all of us. We decide to do something and then we are there, no? Yes.
Oh, okay. So initially, when we began to reach out to these communities, it was quite a big challenge because most of these communities were thinking that, okay, we're some sort of international NGO, that has received lots of funding, and then we're just coming to say, wait, and they're like, they were trying to make things difficult to make us pay money to actually educate their children in climate risk communities, because we're actually targeted at climate risk communities that are much more prone to climate change, kids in such communities. And then, sometimes the leaders, because we have to do some sort of stakeholder meeting and consultation and to gain access into the communities. And so sometimes the leaders were quite hostile, and then they wanted some form of incentive to actually educate the children. So it was quite difficult. We faced that in about 2 communities, and the third one was quite receptive. Another challenge was in the communities. What other challenge we face? Okay, we usually do it outdoor, so we can encourage more children, which were not factored into the planning, to at least see what we're doing. And a challenge was the weather, because most of the time we really did not know what was going to happen today. But being so good, I mean, it has never affected us.
So I will move to another totally different way of proceeding, asking Zilai in Pakistan. Zilai,
yeah,
far from volunteer work, except at the beginning probably, in order to work on alternate sustainable solutions in waste management, well, Zilai created a company that operates on business basis. And so I would like you to tell us, well, why in that way, and probably what is the link to really building sustainable solutions? Because I think that you operate with companies or with structures existing. You can tell it, yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for giving me opportunity to share my experience as a waste management person. I think the circular economy thing is relatively new in the field here in our case, because it was started back in 1972, and then it flourished in 1990s, late 90s, and then now people are very much into it, and they have started knowing that there is no linear thing which could, support the environmental issues. It should be a circular thing if we are moving towards more sustainable environmental conditions. So what craved me to make my own company was there is a huge gap in Pakistan, that industry, they don't have people, those who could provide alternate solutions for handling their waste, which they're producing in huge amount. Like if we take a case of a paper mill and they are using biomass for their energy consumption, production, they are producing almost 250 tons of waste on daily basis. So where this waste should be dumped off, because there's no official government site there to provide them area for dumping their waste, or give them a solution that they could use this waste as another things, raw material. So I was being in the field for the last almost 14, 15 years. And the only thing which haunted me was that people, those who know about the sustainability, why don't they come up and provide solutions to the people, those who are in problem? So we always talk about problems. We always talk about that government is not facilitating us, but there's a gap, there's a huge gap which could be filled up by entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs should move up, move forward, find the solutions, share it with the community, and fill in the gap. And they can create jobs, they can support livelihoods. And as when the COVID hit, there was a huge amount of people, those who were suffering from the joblessness. So where they have to work. So, but the waste management companies and the pharmaceutical companies or the healthcare companies were the only one, those who were not shut down, even those severe environmental issues. So pandemic is also an environmental issue. Dengue is an environmental issue. Climate change is related to environment. So what make you think that if there's an opportunity, the problem is always an opportunity for those who think about it?
Yeah.
So if you're not making money out of it, then what are you doing with yourself as well? If you're just wasting your time or energy, do you think we really are into this thing, being a third world country, being a developing nation? Are we into it? Can we afford so much volunteer work where we don't have a food for a meal for one time even? How can we do that? And if we are not creating jobs, then we are letting other people ruin our lives.
Yeah.
We are letting them think that, okay, we can't help ourselves, come up and help us. Why should we do that?
Okay. It's very clear. But what is exactly the service you offer to an entrepreneur that is running a company? No, it's an assessment, or this includes also what to do with the waste, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, and for them to be moved to pay for your service.
Yeah, that's right. So currently we are providing service to multinational companies. I'm not going to name them because obviously if it's so much important, I will. But there is a company who has this global agenda with them that they will be moving towards the circular economy thing. Mm-hmm. And they were previously, they were getting paid for their waste. So they were generating income out of it. When they moved towards us, they have to pay us. They have to pay to the company who will be disposing of their waste in a sustainable manner. And that sustainable manner was converting their organic waste into organic soil conditioner. And we just started with them almost 2 months back. And one thing which made me more passionate towards it was that people think that this could be done overnight. So they don't think about that biodegradation is a process which is a bit lengthy, but it is sustainable. Anything which is sustainable takes time. So it's not a chemical reaction. Neither it's incineration. So I am really, really against incineration of the waste. I think if we take things out of the environment, we should give back to it. Yeah. And with this, it will be more sustainable environmental conditions here in case of Pakistan as well, where they are producing almost for I'm just skipping out. It's just skipping out of my mind. The solid waste is almost 72,000 tons a day. So 72,000 tons is a huge volume for a country like Pakistan. To how could they, the major issue is the greenhouse gases, typically the methane gas.
let's interrupt here. Then we go back
Okay.
according to the other questions, because now I would like to move to Gabriela in Ecuador, because I'm curious if there's some kind of link between what Zila is doing and what you are doing with your foundation, no, with Circular, that when she coordinates, I mean, Gabriela coordinates the implementation of technological, innovative, and sustainable solutions with regard to circular economy and waste management. So I was curious to see, I mean, how is this being implemented? Gabriela is also an engineer and an environmental engineer, no, and is specialized on waste management and circular economy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, thanks, Ricardo. Happy to know you all. Well, yeah. Actually, I've been hearing from all of you, and I think the things that we do are all related. Basically, in Circular, we work directly with waste pickers on one side, because, as you know, waste pickers are very important for the waste management chain, but they are not acknowledged. So yeah, here in Ecuador, it happens, and I guess it happens in your country. There are these small associations, or maybe these people work like all alone, and they have no rights, but they are responsible for the recycling product, the recycled products that we have. So in Ecuador, for example, when you say, yeah, in Ecuador, we recycle about 4% of all the solid waste. This 4% is mainly responsibility of these people, of the waste pickers, that are not acknowledged for the authorities, are not acknowledged for the people in general. So what we try to do, we try to visualize their work. So we empower these people, we organize these people, because these people are from a very vulnerable groups. They are people that are not educated. They are very poor. So we try to visualize it, we try to help them, we try to organize them into very strong associations. We work together with other associations that are stronger in this matter. So in order to build like this big group, if you want, of waste pickers, that that will say my work is important because I'm helping the environment, I'm helping the community, and you as a citizen should help me by separating your waste in your home. Because what is the waste picker doing? He is going to open your bag, which is full of anything, and try to recover valuable things, and it's like our duty to try to help them. So we work with the waste pickers, and also we make these campaigns, if you want, like challenges and things to try to educate people. Right now, since we are very little, we are working in just one city, but we want to move to other cities and to replicate the work that we are doing. And we are building some alliances, as I mentioned, with other organizations that have maybe a little bit more experience in some of the focal points that we are working with. So yeah, that's on one side. But we also think that policy is important. So one of the other projects is to try to promote policy on waste management. So we already work with 2 small cities here in Ecuador. We developed like a model legislation for the cities. And in this legislation, we introduced the circular economy systems, because yes, we have a law in Ecuador that's been approved, I think 5 months ago, but we are not applying it. So we are trying to, in these small legislations for these small cities, to include the circular economy, and to tell to policymakers from the small cities, you can do it in your small city. It's not that hard, and actually it will save you a lot of money if you go into this direction. So policy is also important. And finally, our dream is to go into technical innovations with the waste speakers, because they know a lot. So we want to take the advantage of the knowledge and learn, teach them how to, I mean, they know how to separate, but maybe we want to teach them how to give value to this residue. Because, you know, maybe I think the same happens in your country. here in Ecuador, the waste management system is a little bit of a mafia. So,
well, in many places, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is to teach them and to try to cut this mafia.
Let's interrupt here and let me move to Kurmira in Tobago, because Kurmira is a specialist in circular economy and waste management. No? So I have a question that comes out of the way the circular economy development is understood in a place like Italy, which is focusing on the production of any company. And so it's basically conceived as a sort of production where there's no waste, because it's an integrated process in which any waste produced by the central production is recycled immediately in some way. So I would like, Kurmira, if you're able to explain this process, because sometimes I'm perceiving that waste management is one thing and is not necessarily linked to the concept of circular economy. And while doing that, you can explain what is the situation in your country and in the region.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Kamira. I am from Trinidad and Tobago, and we are unfortunately
you are moving the microphone, I think, or something that makes noise while you talk.
Okay, hold on, give me a second.
What? No, but leave your face, please.
I think it was your phone, sorry. So I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, and our economy is mainly dependent on oil and gas as our revenue, And what we realize is that because we produce and manufacture a lot of oil and gas, we see where the environment is heavily impacted negatively. So in terms of the circular economy, we have to really think about how are we trying to gain revenue for our different countries, and how can we sustainably do this? I mean, in terms of carbon emissions, we have to find ways to reduce what we give out, what we produce. So it is important to really understand that, and not just at the policy level and not at large scale in terms of this oil and natural gas economy, but also for farmers, for persons who live on the ground, really understanding how can we really reduce our waste, and how can we think about innovative ways to try to cut down. So my work in Trinidad and Tobago, I've been working for the past 10 years in more climate mitigation, adaptation, and waste management. It depends on who you're speaking to. So within the Christmas season, for example, we have a lot of waste generated, a lot of consumerism happening, and it's important to go out into communities and have them understand, okay, maybe some of this waste is not really necessary. So we really partner with community groups. This is one of the examples to try to help them reduce some of their waste. So we did a lot of upcycling with the community groups in terms of children, really helping them reuse materials. So the gift wrapping that they would have used last year, they make gift bags this year to provide presents for their families. They make little gift boxes. So things like that, especially in the school system where we have a lot of waste entering, well, a lot of plastic pollution evolves from persons buying soft drinks, buying water during the school day. And then they're not thinking about, okay, this is the waste that I'm producing and how can we really reduce that? We help them install water fountains so that they could bring their reusable bottles to the school environment and reduce some of this impact. We help them make materials. So they made their own garbage bins and actually watch to see. So we have them develop a system where they can measure the amount of waste that they're producing on a daily basis and try to encourage their peers to try to mitigate some of these. So what they did was use plastic bottles to build the frame of their bins. and also install the bins throughout the school. So little things like that help them to really think about, okay, this is the amount of waste they stood and they measured, okay, this is the amount of plastic that I'm producing on a daily basis. How can we really come together and produce solutions to how are we going to make an impact? And it stems from, yes, this level, but also through the agricultural system, people working in the quarrying system. All these have multiple threats to the environment, and it trickles down. So the quarry persons, they introduce their siltation into the rivers become polluted, and there's less potable water available to different populations. So helping persons within the community understand, okay, this is one of the things that I am doing, maybe to generate an income, but how is this negatively impacting persons in my community? Sorry, Ricardo, you're muted.
It always happens that I start talking full of enthusiasm and I'm not connected. No, I was saying that it's very interesting what you were explaining us, and I would like to move to Samina, who is, passionate about waste management, but also in the methods of educating sustainability. So I would like you, Samina, if you could talk us about that, but in how you do it. And we, as I said before, we are interested in knowing how someone has the initiative towards doing something, and then how do you manage to do it, and what are the difficulties, the problems? No, how do you implement this education component of your concern?
Thank you, Ricardo, for this amazing opportunity. So for educating sustainability, what I did in my research was to educate university students, especially engineering students. And in that research, I learned about so many pedagogies that can help students to, from their first year, to be more involved in sustainable solutions rather than the normal solution, the traditional one, because if our generation continue in the traditional way, that would not be a good thing for our future generation. And thus there are some of the things where like place-based pedagogies, and then there is a group-based pedagogies or something like that. So how I implement this in a general community is like showcasing ideas that maybe I follow or maybe someone else is doing. So I just represent them to the other people through social media so that they get encouraged. I chose social media because that's the most common used platform in my community. And the issues I faced is that most of the people there that are interested in this kind of content are actually environmentally aware, and thus they join this community. But the mass population who are not actually educated about it, they won't join it in the first place if someone else is not going to them and telling them that you should do it. And another thing I have realized is that somehow people think that it's environmental friendly lifestyle is type of thing that is for the rich people, not the people who live with a limited amount of money. So the first thing they will be like, oh, it's for the rich people or for the developed countries, not a country like developing one. So while I was trying to find some alternatives to the traditional ways people generate, in that case, then I had to face issues like I have to make the products more convenient and price effective, so that the people are interested. Because if I can't educate the mass population, then only educating the only educating the people who already are aware of the environmental issues will not be enough. And another thing is, I was thinking of some of the projects that I could take initiative to teach people or make them aware of problem. So I realized that I can't do it alone. So maybe I need some support from other organizations or industries that have bigger influence on people. So I talked to some of the management people from those companies, but sadly, they actually consider environmental issues as CSR. So when it's COVID time and organizations are already facing issues to pay their employees, then they asked me a question. Okay, we are now facing problems with paying our employees. They don't have things to eat every day. So how are we going to invest in something that is CSR? Our main focus is not CSR now. So and then another thing they said, okay, then if you are coming with like, okay, this is what you want to teach, but then what is the next step? So they want a whole thing before they go with the project. So that's what I'm working on. I'm trying to make it a holistic solution, that where I will go, like what I am expecting next. So if I am, for example, if I am telling people like you can't use plastic packaging or something like that, then where is the alternative for that? And
good. It's very clear, and I thank you for that. Does any of you have any questions, comments? Because we should now think about closing this session, no? But is there any question? Otherwise, I have, but I would prefer if some of you have questions or comments to the others.
I would like to ask something.
Yes.
Okay, how could we all collaborate on a single platform where we could work together for each other in their countries and show our presence internationally as well? Because I think all of us are doing a great job within their limits. But if the women, they get so much exposure to the international community, and they could become voice of their own, that how they are handling their own issues of their country, and how they can support each other in a way that everyone has a strong impact on environment, as well as a female worker or a women worker or a female enthusiast working on the field of environment. So I think this platform can play a greater role, rather than only collecting people from one place or the other and having a dialogue. I think we should take a better step ahead, that, okay, we can have, more opportunities for each other in our countries. And in this way, we can have a better or a huge audience to listen how each one of us are playing their role.
I like your question and your proposal. I mean, I think I totally agree with your concern. I mean, I think this is the point. I mean, what we are starting now has to do with building ways of cooperating and increasing what is shared with others. No, so in our case, our role, the Citizens Platform, it is to inform and communicate. No, we don't go into any other thing. I mean, we are professionals on that. And that's the interest to, I mean, you coming together, and then someone like Zilai is doing now says, okay, how can we develop this, and how can we empower this and disseminate it more and more, which means producing things. On that, citizens platform will be cooperating. You already count on a platform for dissemination that includes then more and more partners. And so if you allow me, I explain why within citizens platform we have created this, and Zila, you will understand this very well, also the others, but I mean, it meets immediately your concern, what we call the climate change communication convergence. No, we put the accent on climate change because it's easier. No, it's today's understood by all, but all this will not change unless through sustainable processes. No, I mean, the bottom line here is changing the way of producing, of consuming, of living together, and building a, what do we call, sustainable development. So, but this convergence means exactly from the communication point of view, what Zila is suggesting among those having a similar activity, but that activity produces something that can be communicated, let's say. And
yeah, yeah, that's right. But I'm saying that if one person in Bangladesh, they need some help, that how could they start their own business, they can, we can collaborate with them. Or if I think other people, they can come in because as one of the members said, that there's a mafia. So yes, waste has a huge mafia, and people, they do not easily think that anyone else can come into their circle and get the share out of it. Although it's such a big pie that if every one of them are getting it, everyone could have a plateful. What I feel so, because there's a huge gap in it. But I think our voices should be heard. Right now, even in COP26, I don't think so that they do claim that we are into it. We are, but it's majorly a greenwash. It's not, they're not spending the money actually on sustainable development. Majority of them, there's one multinational company whom I approached, and you know what they said? They said, if you have a bigger impact on such thing, yes, we are here to support you. How could one, if on the one hand you are saying that you are polluters and you are really working for the sustainability of the environment, and people like us, if they volunteer ourselves, why should we only volunteer ourselves to get this thing on board? Why all these girls, they are just wasting their energy in volunteering themselves? Why don't the polluters feel for it? Polluters is Unilever, polluter is Pepsi Cola, polluter is Nestle, polluter is Coca-Cola, polluter, these all multinational, they are the major polluters in the oil and gas company. Major polluters here who pollute us, our environment. Exactly. And then they claim that we can only support those who can work voluntarily with us. Why is that so? Why don't they feel the urgency of the climate change?
Yeah. Okay.
Climate change is not a buzzword. It's a reality. We are facing it on daily basis.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I just react to that very quickly?
Yes. Come on.
Thank you. So, and the funny thing is that while we have a completely citizen volunteer platform, I actually completely agree that it should not just be done voluntarily. That's why, for example, when we do the intervention, we do it only in school and youth group, because the school and the youth group in Mauritius, they don't have the money to pay for education. So that's why, as a volunteer group, we want to go and educate them. But for example, when big company approach us, what we do is like, oh, there are actually professionals working in this field, and we think you can afford to support them. So I think it's really not black or white. It's really, for example, Zero Waste Mauritius is really active in advocacy. So we are not like offering
like we're not like offering recycling solution or this or that, not as zero waste Mauritius, but many of our members are developing small business that we want to support, and the small business are sustainable because they are self-funding. So I think it's really about finding, there's many ways of doing activism, and I totally agree that it should be self-sustaining, because why should we do it for free? And I think that, for example, there might be this misunderstanding on zero waste Mauritius. We don't just do it for free for the sake of doing it for free. We do it for free because sometimes, as I say, for example, youth group and school, we don't have the money, but then we also support all the other small business. And mainly in Mauritius, there's more and more small business that are working from ways, like finding solutions to waste.
If I may say something, I don't think that Zilai is proposing that, and that being volunteer, her speech has to do with those that are producing and that are rich and that they have all the power and all the means to change. Instead of changing, they ask volunteer with us. No, in your case, Victoria, I see something totally different. I mean, you are doing something that includes these roundtables that you organize between citizens, government representatives, and entrepreneurs. No, well, that is very important, because that should lead to something that has an impact on political decisions and production decisions, and what to do with the way of producing. No, so, and it's absolutely necessary what you do.
These big company, we do have like case study where it worked. Where like when citizens went and meet with this big company, they did introduce change. It took some time, for example, just for small change, it took 1 year and many meetings, but they did take it upon themselves to introduce this change, because we really believe that all the burden of responsibility should not lay on citizens, because as we know, like a lot of the company are producing most of the impact.
Good. So, I mean, I'm very happy if we're out of this immediately. Starts a coordinated network that you come together, we can help, then you will be producing things whenever this can become a communication content. I mean, something that can be communicated to others worldwide. Well, that's the sense of our work, as it is the sense of these webinars that we started last month together with UNESCO, and UNESCO shares this sense, is to move. I mean, we've seen thousands in Glasgow and other places these days claiming. At the same time, we have what you are doing and many others are doing. I mean, young people that is knowledgeable already about solutions, about how things should be done, about a knowledge that you are trying to transmit to children, younger youth, and others. But when you meet with governmental representatives and entrepreneurs, you are also transmitting knowledge. And so that is what we are trying to put there internationally. I mean, leadership, youth leadership, and leadership regarding solutions that exist, that are being already implemented, and that should be implemented more and more. And this requires a strong and becoming stronger communication process, on which the contents of the communication is produced by you, that are the actors. We are the actors for the information and the communication, but that would be empty without what you are doing. So if we can say that we are launching a circular economy and waste management interregional network in the global south, as they call it now, we move from there and we continue. We don't stop. We'll stop this session, let's say, because otherwise then it's not possible to communicate it to others because it becomes too long and people then switch off. But I think it's very, very interesting, and they probably will listen until the end, because it's this ping pong, let's say, this moving from one to other in so many different places. You see, I mean, here we have different places coming together, and for me it's fascinating, or it's also the sense of my know-how, no? Yes. So I thank you very much, each one of you. We will continue the contact immediately after this. This now will be edited and put up immediately in our platform and in YouTube, and then also announced in other social media. But the real success will be to bring in others and to continue moving together. Tomorrow there's another webinar that one is focusing on unprotected human and natural resources, which is a big issue. The human is referred to ancestral knowledge and know-how, which is being ignored in most of the places, and the natural resources, well, you know, it's minerals, oceans, water, and that. So that we are moving tomorrow to that, and then we'll have another one. There's one per day in this week until the Friday. So if you are interested in following, we'll see the way that you can do it. Otherwise, you will be able to see it immediately after. Any final thing? Otherwise, we close here. We say goodbye. Thank you very much. And
thank you.
Thank you, Gabriela.
So much.
It's good that finally we met. The same Kurbida that last time was not possible. Thanks again, Zilai. You're always very clear. And thank you, Samina. It's very nice to listen to you. And Victoria, of course, that is there. Very passionate. Thank you very much. Thank you also to Alessandra that was supporting from behind, and to Federico that you have not seen. It's that CP that you see from time to time. He's been recording what we've been doing. Till very soon. Goodbye.
Bye, thank you.
Ciao, Gabriela. Hasta luego. Pronto.
Bye.
Un poco de castellano.
Bye, Richard. Thank you so much.
Bye, 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 Samina. Bye.